If you're connected via computer, you'll have to click on the microphone icon. And if you're connected via telephone, you'll have to press *6.
I think we're ready to go to the minutes. And so the minutes are included in your PSC packet. And I think action items would be covered within the agenda or as otherwise scheduled for future meetings. So it's open for PSC member comments or questions.
This is our Region 5. We move to approve the minutes as written.
Okay. Do I have a second?
This is Ryan Bishop. I'll second.
All right, the motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, so I'll go through the roll call. Clarissa?
I approve. Oh, you, Lynn?
Yeah. Eduardo?
I approve.
Marion second. Cecilia?
I approve.
Cindy?
Approve. Thank you.
Jermaine?
Approve.
Alberto, motion. Chad?
Approve.
Irene?
I approve.
Olga?
I approve.
And LaShonda? LaShonda joined?
Yes, I approve for the record.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, then let's move to the agenda items. So the first topic is on performance trends.
All right, thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Arnold Malvik. I am the project executive for Accenture. Happy to report that for the month of August, we continue to have excellent performance across the system. 3-month running average of high availability. Last system availability issues that we had were back in the June timeframe. We had talked about these on previous sessions around the work that had been done to stabilize the Forge Rock services. And we are continuing to see stable performance across all of the services. So we're green across our SLAs, the help desk, the system response, batch completion, training environment, standard reports, security incidents, disaster recovery. And then the Forge Rock is again back to that June timeframe. So we're running a strong trend of available and performance. You want to take over the benefits Cal region?
Thanks, Arnold. Much like with CalSAWS for benefits Cal for the last quarter, we have met the performance related SLAs. All of our transactions are focused on how users are using the system. So how quickly they're getting responses back and how quickly we're exchanging information with CalSAWS. So we've met the performance related SLAs for the last quarter.
Thank you, Rachel. Sarah, do we have you on the line from the Highland? There you are.
Yes. Good morning, Sarah Kiewit with Highland to report on the imaging SLAs. So for monthly uptime, the target each month is 99.9%. Fortunately, the target was missed in July and August, and credits are being issued for both of those months. To give you a little more detail, on July 11th at 7:30 p.m., users were unable to log in for 85 minutes when an unstable database cluster impacted the imaging solution. And on August 9th, an issue on the product side resulted in users' session timeouts for 61 minutes. Fixes are in place for both of these issues to prevent them from occurring again for the CalSAWS imaging solution. We do recognize the importance of uptime for the county end users using the system and are working on adding additional monitoring and dashboards to proactively prevent downtime in the future. For the monthly page views and the monthly database transactions, we're looking at a target of 90% for each month. And you can see that both of those were met for the month, with 98.82% for providing access to 70 kilobyte page views in 2 seconds or less, and 99.89% for database transactions completed in 1 second or less. So that's all I have on the Highland side.
All right, thank you, Sarah. Moving into the lower right-hand quadrant, we take a look at our onshore, offshore metrics. Rachel, do you want to cover the benefits cal a little fast?
Sure thing. So for benefits cal, we do not have a target for onshore versus offshore, but we pretty much remain consistent in terms of our staffing as we have consistency in our maintenance and enhancement related efforts. So we have a larger percentage, just a little bit over half of our team that's offshore, and we continue to expect that to be the projection going forward.
And from a CalSAWS perspective, for the last several months, we've been running at about 64% onshore, 36% offshore. We have an upper limit of 40% offshore, so we will see some fluctuation as we get close to that 40%, bringing the onshore down. A lot of it's related to the type of work that's being done and whether there's PII involved. So if there's PII involved, we're unable to leverage our offshore teams. And that's when we would see the onshore ratios take upwards. If we take a look at our cost of rework, it remains very low, which means that the quality is high as far as the ongoing work that the CalSAWS teams are doing in delivering quality changes when it's the premise work, M&E work, or anything that's being migrated into production. So if we look at the onshore, offshore, they're both well below the 10% target. And it's something that we continue to just keep a focus on to minimize defects getting into production. So with that, I think we can return it for any questions.
Any questions from our PSC members? No? Any questions or comments from the public? All right, thank you. So then next, let's have some benefits cal update. Starting off, Lynn, I believe.
Good morning, everyone. This is Lynn Bridwell, and a quick update for all of you on the ROI work group, the release of information. As reported before, we're waiting for the final letters to be issued. We know our state partners, DHCS and CDSS, are in the process of their final reviews and getting ready for their internal legal reviews in order to get this published here shortly. Fully expecting it within a matter of weeks that we will see some more information about this. Internally, our groups of our technical folks have been evaluating and looking at some potential ideas for capturing CBO information. We do have a lot of CBO information now, and certainly a good number of CBO accounts. We know that with this type of functionality, we will need to adjust, and there'll be even more that'll be needed. So we are looking at what is that going to look like? And we're anticipating we'll start sharing some thoughts with the ROI work group, looking at our next meeting being on September 30th at the end of this month, to start talking through those processes and those thoughts on how to do this, because it needs to be user friendly, for the public to be able to find the person that they would like to have them helping them with their applications or their processes. So, definitely more to come, and we'll see how it all comes together over the next few months. We know that once we get a path moving forward, it will be what automation needs to get built out and some reports on that. And then, of course, training. We know that will be a big item as well. That is what I have for the ROI work group.
And I will take it over from here, Lynn. Good morning, everyone. Next topic following the release of information update is about CalFresh, about able beta adults without dependents implementation for Benefits Cal portal. And about waiver is expected to expire in October 2025. And for this implementation, there is some areas that will be affecting the Benefits Cal portal. In summary, across 3 areas, like including the apply for benefits flow, a customer dashboard area, and the support request module that we currently have. In summary, we are expected to add additional features where the customers will be able to add about exemptions in apply for benefits flow in Benefits Cal, Also, they will be able to, see the about time limits on the customer dashboard. For the CalFresh customers with benefits card account will be able to report about exemptions or report work requirements or request corrections of the initial application. Is through the support request module that we currently have. Next slide, please. What you will see in the next two slides is about the progress we made so far and the stakeholder engagements that we had with including CDSS, CWDA, our advocate partners, ACIU, and the committees. We started the activities May earlier this year with a series of UCD and the research sessions. And we had a series of meetings with the stakeholders, including our state partners, as I mentioned, our advocate partners, CWDA and the SSP committee, and to share the findings and to get their inputs. We are conducting some design brainstorming sessions with the stakeholders to get the feedback before we finalize the design. Next slide, please. And now we have been working on last month and this month with design and usability testing sessions with the customers to get their input on the proposed design. So before we jump into the development, we want to get a feedback from the customers from the usability and the look and feel of the application, whether how intuitive it is before we finalize the design. Also get the feedback from our SSP committee, advocate partners, and the state partners and the counties before we move forward. Next slide, please. In terms of the next item, we are going to switch from the ABOT implementation is the Get CalFresh parity. It says March 2021 here, but it should be 2022. There has been 63 potential parity items have been identified by the Get CalFresh team back in the day for the benefits card applications. I will just share a quick background before I jump into the details. Since that March 2022 date when we received the initial list, we started working with CDSS and Get CalFresh team, CWDA, and the consortium. And we kind of categorize these items across the different functional areas. And what you see on this slide is the breakdown of these items by the functional area. Since then, there has been monthly working sessions with CDSS, with the participation of CDSS, Get CalFresh, CalSAS, CWDA, and the consortium teams to analyze each item and develop options, recommendations, and create a path forward plan for each. Next slide, please. So what you see on the slide is a kind of a funnel view on the progress we made so far and where we stand as of today. After the analysis for these original 63 items I mentioned in the previous slide, 27 of them were removed from the list as a no gap from the CDSS. And for the remaining items, 25 of them were already implemented and closed by the project team by mid of 2024 this year. And for the remaining, there's currently 11 items that we are actively tracking right now. And we are planning to meet the parity by May 2025, prior to the Get CalFresh sunset timeline. Next slide, please. So what you see on the slide is the breakdown and the path forward plan for each item for the remaining 11 with the planned closure dates you can see on the right-hand side, the right column. And this is including, as you can see, the dates are starting from this month until April of 2025. We are planning to implement and close them, other than one line item where we do have a dependency on the ROI work group outcomes. So this is kind of the high-level update on where we are from the Get CalFresh parity items. Lynn, do you have anything to add before I move on to the next topic?
No, thanks, Owner. We know that there had been a request a while back on a little more insight on the Get CalFresh and where things were moving along, with the understanding that the Code for America Get CalFresh application was going to be sunset next fall. So this was just an introduction to that progress. on where we are on these. And then definitely it's been a lot of working sessions with CDSS and the Code for America or the Get CalFresh teams to bring these into alignment as far as the functionality that's going to be within Benefits Cal. Thanks.
Thank you, Lynn. If you can move on to the next slide, please. Thank you. Next, for the next topic, we will continue the Benefits Cal updates with and briefly touch on the important system improvements coming up this month in September and this fall and winter. Since we met last time in August release 2408 deployed to production on time based on the schedule. And this month, release 2409, the September release is targeted later this month. And the key item to highlight for this month is the SSA assisted applications flow for the CalFresh applications. The functionality, the flag is going to be turned on for the SSA assisted application flow with a new 7 new additional enhancements requested by the SSA. We have been closely working with the SSA team and also the state partners, CDSS, last few months closely on that, and we will be implementing those and turning the flag on this month. Moving forward for this fall, as you may know, our steering committee may know, Benefits Cal portal currently supports 20 threshold languages. And we are currently actively working on adding the 21st language, which is the Mandarin Simplified Chinese, which is in progress right now. In addition to that, we're also exploring opportunities for the new methods and tools to expedite language updates in the Benefits Cal portal. So these are the updates for the Benefits Cal release highlights. Next slide, please. Okay, next, I will be handing over to Julie Conwell for the CalSAL's outbound caller ID updates.
All right, good morning, everybody. So there was an action item last meeting to discuss the Benefits Cal outbound call campaign. And just to give a little bit of background, with the 7/11/24 release, we did have a standard number that goes out for all text messages and phone calls so that if a customer calls that number back, they can put in their zip code and get transferred to the county. If it's a zip code that falls between multiple counties, only at that point will a customer be able to select the county that they wish. Otherwise, it just auto directs. There was an ask about ICT scenarios, and we currently do not have a campaign for ICT scenarios. We only have them for appointments and STAR 7s. So it is not in the books at this point for ICTs, but we can definitely look at CER options if that's something that your counties are interested in. Any questions on that? Okay. I think I pass it back to Irene.
All right. So no questions from the PSC members? And do we have any comments or questions from the public?
Yeah, this is Jennifer from the Advocates Group.
Yes, Jennifer.
Thank you. I had a couple of questions about Benefits Cal and the parity with Get CalFresh. Is there any information about the 25 items that were considered not a gap and how Benefits Cal meets the parity for each one?
So Lynn, do you want to take it or you want me to take it?
We can take it back to see if we can summarize that, Jen, because yeah, let us take us back to see that we can summarize it because it was all in collaboration with CDSS and Code for America, but we can look and see what the summaries look like.
Yeah, it would be great for each of the 63 items if we were able to see like the line connecting like where each gap is being met through Benefits Cal so that we can understand how that parity list is met within Benefits Cal. And then my other question is, Get CalFresh has consistently provided at least half of all applications going into Benefits Cal. And I'm wondering if the project is going to be identifying and tracking metrics to make sure that we understand like how access to services in Benefits Cal is being met. We want to make sure that as Get CalFresh sunsets, that people are continuing to have access to services and that parity is actually demonstrated in the system. So is there a plan to have some sort of metrics to show to be able to see like, is there going to be a drop off in applications or like monitoring that so that we can ensure we can mitigate any barriers for people if they show up?
So we are looking at that and saying what it is that we can track for that, because we do know that all the applications are coming in through Benefits Cal, whether they're tagged as Get CalFresh or not. They're still all being routed to the counties to be processed, but we are definitely looking at that because we know that there's definitely some interest around that. I know your okay. Welcome to Thursday morning. So anyhow, we know that there's a lot of interest from other entities as well. Let me rephrase it that way.
Is
Yeah.
there a timeline? Because we've brought it up a few times and there hasn't, I don't know if there's what actions being taken, or is there a forum where we could talk about it?
Yeah, I believe we were looking at it here in terms of the metrics and starting that we're looking within that we're within that year now of the sunset. So it'll be more of from here moving forward with, we have some background information, but definitely looking at more in-depth moving forward now until the sunset.
So maybe
But
in the
again,
next
we can bring it
couple
back. I'm sorry, what?
So maybe in the next couple months.
Yeah.
Great, thanks.
Any other questions from the public? Okay, so the next agenda item, we have release and policy updates. And I believe this is Lisa.
Yes, good morning, everyone. So for the release update this month, we have two topics. So we're going to cover just general release overview, as well as we wanted to bring back to this group an update on the release readiness discovery sessions that we conducted earlier in springtime, late spring, early summer, with many county staff. And so I'm going to invite Amy Gill on to give that update. But first, releases. So it is a bi-monthly release month. We have our 2409 release ready to go. And so I have a slide on that, so I won't drain that one right now. But since we last met, another quick update, we've done a number of priority releases. In fact, we deployed close to 50 SCRs in the last month. It's been a busy time. A number of those were around correspondence, as we've mentioned in the past. We implement a lot of form revisions, NOAA revisions, and associated languages through our priority release when ready process. So we deployed close to 20 correspondence updates with additional languages and revisions in the last 4 weeks. We continue to work on those items as those translations are released by our state partners and get those into the queue and into the system as quickly as possible. The other notable item that we implemented was our annual CalFresh COLA, CalWorks MAP increase, CalWorks IRT. This is the first time that we ran that COLA with all 58 counties. It was massive by the numbers. I think we ran close to 3 million eligibility determinations after we updated the values. Over 5 million pieces of correspondence were generated that impacted over 4 million Californians who are served by the CalFresh and CalWorks program. So it was executed within 48 hours and the results were posted out to the counties. So thanks to all the teams, it was a massive cross-team effort to get through that COLA and get it done timely. And of course, we're already planning for the next one because, you know, they come around multiple times a year. So we do start SSA COLA in December. Next slide. In terms of our release event, 2409. So we've gone through and completed our testing activities. A number of sessions have been held in terms of we had the webcast a week and a bit ago with county staff. The newsletter has gone out, so that's a new feature. The training team is putting together a newsletter with each of the major releases that went out end of last week. And just yesterday we had our Project Greenlight meeting, and I'm happy to report that all entities have given the go. So we will start the code deployment activities this Sunday. We have all teams on deck to do the smoke testing after we do the deployment before we bring the system back online. And beginning next Monday afternoon, we will start our post-release calls with the counties. So we'll run those for 3 days and for any items that counties want to bring up post-release. So ready to go with our, what is it, 4th one this year? 5-monthly release. So keep going. So with that, I am going to invite Amy. Amy, are you out there to take us through the release readiness update? Thanks, Amy.
Good morning. So just to provide a reminder of the background on the county release readiness sessions that we held. So this was part of an approach where we were gathering feedback from counties on different ways that we could identify potential enhancements, provide education to some of our newer counties to the system. And we did hear from counties that there were some challenges with getting ready for those baseline releases that are so full of a lot of different changes. So one of the things we heard is that just the pace of changes in CalSAWS is faster than it was previously. Some things that were different were the release notes, for example, from the CalWIN system were a little different than how they're presented for CalSAWS. And there were also some challenges with counties having access to the JIRA system, which hosts a lot of our design information. So based on that information, we conducted a series of discovery sessions. We can go to the next slide, please. So in May, we held 4 facilitated workshops. We recruited regional participants, 5 from each region, to participate. And they were an interactive session. I was really, really happy with the result. I've been on the project for over 12 years and I learned new stuff. It was really eye-opening to be able to hear directly from, our county participants on what their different processes are, what their challenges are. And we really use this as a way to kind of brainstorm and together come up with some ideas for how to address the problems or challenges that they're facing. So some of the topics that we discussed were, the SCR design documents, release notes, as I mentioned, the release webcasts and the materials that go out for that, as well as just overall change management and how counties prepare for these large changes. Next slide, please. So we did hear that some things were working well, which was good to hear. We heard consistently that, having a visual of, page mockups or screenshots within the SCR design documents, that was very helpful for counties. The release notes are helpful as a very quick summary tool. The release notes in CalSAWS are pretty basic. Like it was before the release, this page functioned this way. After the release, it functions this new way. But they're still wanting some more detailed information. And then we also heard that the major upcoming changes, communications that go out prior to the release webcast, that those were very helpful because it consolidates all the materials for the release within that single email or zip file or access to the web portal. What we did learn during the sessions are some of the areas for improvement. So we heard that because the design documents can be so expansive sometimes that it can be overwhelming to be able to tell quickly, okay, what is the action as a county that I need to take for this? Who do I need to talk to? What are the business process that we need to look at? So just wanting to have some more of a quick visual or some way to recognize what is the main point out of this SCR design, which can be quite lengthy. Occasionally they said that the language can be a little bit vague or too technical. And then we heard again about some challenges with JIRA access, as well as just wanting more training on functionality related to JIRA. Timing of materials, of course, they want materials as soon as possible, which we understand. So we did recently move up the timing of the release webcast and the providing of those major upcoming changes emails a little bit sooner. So we did hear that as well. And then we did talk through the format of the release webcast, which is what we do for each release. If you could please move to the next slide. So these are just a few of the many recommendations that we had that I wanted to highlight for the group here, and some of the actions that we are currently taking or planning to take. So as I mentioned, hearing that, sometimes counties are unsure, what do I need to do with this change? We are piloting a change to our SCR design documents for a couple of items in 2501 release, and we also identified a couple for the 2503 release. And we're looking to add a user-friendly section within those SCR design documents to call out county impacts, such as security and tasks. That's all in the design document already, but sometimes those design documents can be 80 pages long or 40 pages, which is a lot. So we're looking at having an easy to read, visual section using icons or some other visual markers to really call attention quickly to some of those things where counties may need to update their configurations. If it's a new task, just a reminder, okay, who's going to get this task? Am I going to use it? I need to turn it on. Maybe there's a new business process or this task is replacing an existing business process. So that is currently in process. The next item related to JIRA access and training. So this one is done in terms of adding some new training materials or modules to for the counties. So we hosted a series of CalSAW's learning exchange sessions related to expanded JIRA access. So we had 3 sessions at the end of August, and those were very well received. So much thanks to the team and Bobby for helping to make those happen. Materials were also saved for anyone who was unable to attend the session. And then in terms of increasing JIRA access, this is something that's still in progress. So we're working with the teams to identify how are JIRA licenses distributed? Are there any licenses that are out there that are being unused that can be redistributed? So that is something that's still in process, and we're working with the various teams there. Then we heard a lot of feedback about the release webcast. Just a couple of items that I will highlight is we heard that it would be more helpful if we, within the agenda of the webcast, grouped the different items by functional areas. So, if there's any fiscal items, covering those all together, or by program, CalFresh items, so that if there was someone who maybe needed to drop, they were just there for that one program, they could strategically see on the agenda, when that would be covered. We've also added the presenter name to the agenda so that staff know, counties know who is the staff point person for that particular item if they have, additional questions. So several changes were done there to the release webcast, and we've had great feedback so far about those changes. And that is it. More things to come. This is not a one and done. We're looking at this as a continuous improvement. So as we, continue to hear feedback from counties, we're open to, finding ways to support counties and make the release preparation go a little bit more smoothly.
Thank you, Amy. Back to you, Audrey.
All right, any questions from the PSC members? Or any comments and questions from the public? All right, thank you, Amy and Lisa. So next, we're going to go over the reports, have a reports update by Sean.
All right, my favorite 10 minutes of the month. Let's start off with a kind of an overall update. I run this slide for the last few PSCs. I'm kind of running this between each JPA meeting. You'll see the numbers a little bit lower this time. It's more reflective of our cycle, where, as Lisa had said, we just greenlighted the baseline release, and we do not do major or ongoing changes during that time period. So we kind of lock it down right before the baseline. We did introduce 1 SCR and 6 defects. So we are still pumping out a bit there. What I wanted to bring attention to is a couple of the top changes there. The first one, we were able to update our architecture, and this is significant for a lot of the counties asked for reruns to fix something, and they don't necessarily want to make the change on their own. They want the system to reflect that as well. This architecture change will actually allow for much more simplistic and less effort of that rerunning. So it's a huge thing we've been trying to get in for ourselves to make that happen more often for the counties. And it makes it a lot easier on us to make that happen too. So that's a huge architecture change we put in through the defect side. We also introduced some changes to a particular dashboard. This was part 2 of a series of changes, more reflected to the kind of supportive services side, welfare to work and rep. And there's a lot of different small updates we made in there that make it much more user friendly. I did also want to reflect on what's coming up. We do have a lot of items queued up for right after and including in the release. So at this point, again, we're looking down to single-digit defects left by the end of November. I'm sure the counties will do a wonderful job of finding something else and put that in the hopper and fix that too. We have our next group of functional design documents. This will be our 3rd group. There's another 7 reports in there. And we have our survey coming up in the mid-fall. This is again, we want to re-baseline and see how we've done it the last year. And I have been bringing up for the last couple of releases some concern around report reruns. So if you can see here on the slide, it dropped dramatically in the last month. I'm not sure what everybody did, but I'm absolutely thankful for it. As a matter of fact, half of the 17 were one county, one day. One file got late and it caused us to run 7 different reports. So if had that not happened, it'd be even lower. So kudos to everyone and kudos to the counties for getting that in there. 17 is a kind of normal number we would expect through normal operations throughout the course of a month. Moving on to a little bit of a deep dive. This is something we've been asked to spend a little bit more time on in these meetings is let's see what's going on with the LA County expansion of reports. So there were a bunch of reports when we went live that were LA County specific. We had heard a lot from the 57 other counties. Hey, can we evaluate those and see if they can solve some of our reporting concerns across the state? So we did send out a CRFI in July that closed about 2-3 weeks later. We got responses from 44 of the 57 counties. So that's a pretty good response rate. Not as good as when I asked, hey, what's wrong with reports? But still a pretty good response rate. If you can see on the right side, there were 88 total reports on there. We had at least 1 or more counties interested in 68 of them, 10 or more counties interested in 31 of them, and 20 counties interested in 11 of them. 20 of those reports that are LA County only, no one signified any interest. Is that the word I'm looking for? Interest in trying to replicate that. We did have a few handful of counties who really were interested in things that we had already provided, saying we can't replicate this. So we provided some education back to them, saying like that's tied to some LA County specific functionality. Let me roll to the next slide because I think this shows some interesting information too. So these are all the reports with 20 or more counties saying they're interested in them. And if you want to draw your attention to both the category and the usage, so the category is largely fiscal. There's a few management reports in there. But if you look at that LA County usage, that is over the course of a year. So it's really interesting that some of the most highly, I already used the word interest, the ones the counties were most interested in have very, very low usage. So that's going to be part of our conversation going forward is, so if you look at the first one, it's been used 3 times a year. We even have one on there, I think was 0. Yeah, the vendor payment report. So we need to have some conversations between the counties of, well, what is it you're attempting to resolve? What is it? Why isn't LA using that? And then make sure that we go forward with actually putting efforts into something that will resolve the problem for the counties. Last slide here, and this is kind of the process we're going through. So the first step is sort of in process, sort of complete, is reviewing our responses and figure out which ones to proceed with. This month and next month, we'll be working with the counties, confirm that need, make sure that we're putting our right hours on the right things. Phase 3 will be probably towards the end of this month through next month and into November of determining the level of effort. So if it's something that is, hey, let's just flip a switch, let's add a quick code value, something like that, we're just going to put it in right into the SDR, put it through the process, and we'll go for the next priority release. If it's something that requires significant coding in the order of hundreds of hours where we really think this needs to be prioritized, we'll bring that over to the reports, the appropriate reports committee, because there's 2 involved here, and just say, where does this land within your spectrum of priorities today? If they agree to get it done right away, then that will become the next in the hopper. If they say it's not a priority, then that might become part of the active backlog. The last step here is to implement those changes. And again, we are implementing things not just in baseline releases, but as soon as we can get them through the testing phase. We've actually made some changes in the last month. So we have more internal control of those testing phases too. We've spun up our own small little testing team so we control it from design, build, test, all the way through into production now as one phase of what we call product-oriented delivery. And that is my update for reports. Back to you, Irene.
Okay, do we have any comments or questions from PSC members? All right, any comments or questions from the public? Okay, so let's move on to the next agenda item, which is an update on the Fresno Gen AI. I believe that's Regina.
Yes, thank you, Irene. Hello, everyone. Good morning. So today I'd like to provide a quick update as we have on the last couple meetings here around our Fresno Gen AI Call Summary Assist project and some of our recent metrics since our initial go live at the end of June. So these metrics here you see are through September 8th. And we have since then, so you'll see 53,000 summaries generated. Since then, it's been closer to over 60,000, which is great to see. And we're still continuing to see that 100% of those summaries are generated within 60 seconds, which is excellent, and averaging around 8 seconds from the time that the call ends to when the summary is actually created. We're seeing an increase here in reduction in average post-call wrap time and reduction in average handle time. I think last time those numbers were 12% and 10% respectively. So those numbers are continuing to increase, which is showing a greater reduction. I know that's a little counterintuitive, but that's a positive trend. And we're also seeing that 82% of the Gen AI summary content is being unedited by the eligibility workers. I know there's been some questions around, are we able to see the actual, what is being edited of those Gen AI summaries and kind of like the substance of what eligibility workers are changing? And we are still working with Fresno on analyzing that and getting some insights there that we may use to enhance the tool. So we have some refreshed eligibility worker feedback here in the bottom left-hand corner that they're seeing that it's good at organizing the flow of the phone call, makes folks' jobs easier, which is what we love to see. And some suggestions. There's still some words and names that are recognized incorrectly by the tool, and we're continuing to work through those. So in the bottom right, you see some recent enhancements. We've been continuing to enhance this tool on a monthly basis. Some recent items that we've just implemented are some dictionary updates. So we're adding some additional iterations on some of the acronyms and program terms. So things like EBT, CalWORKS, making sure that those are being recognized consistently, and also some things that are more specific to Fresno. So for example, there's some towns near Fresno or in Fresno County that aren't necessarily being recognized correctly by the tool. So we're making sure that we're adding those as dictionary items so that they're not misspelled or misunderstood. And updating so the customer name appears once in the summary, distinguishing timing of worker actions. So at the end of the summary, there's a little part that says, next steps that the worker needs to do. So making sure that those are all formatted consistently in the correct tense. And then some format changes as well. So standardizing numbers, addresses, and adding paragraph breaks to the summaries. That's it for our Gen AI update for this month. Irene, I'll hand it back to you.
All right, any questions from PSC members?
I have a question. Regina, can you remind us again which queue it is implemented on? Because it's not all calls, right? It was a specific queue.
So that's a great question. When we first launched, it was just CalWORKS and outbound queues, but we did a 3-phased launch over the course of a couple weeks at the end of June and July. So now this is on all queues in English for Fresno.
So all English queues.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from PSC? Okay, any comments or questions from the public? No? Okay, then let's go on to the next item, which is any risk And Holly, I think this is yours.
I'll go ahead and take this one. This is Arnold again. And so overall, as we take a look at our risk exposure trend, the reason why we saw the uptick from 1.12 to 1.3 was because we actually closed some risks that were green risks. And so basically what happened was with the rest of the risks, it raised the score just a little bit. But it's not a concerning trend because those other risks are also under control as well. So if we go ahead and move on to the next slide, this lists all of our risks, the mediums and lows. We're going to be talking about the mediums. The lows are under control and some of them are actually ready for closure. So with that, I'll ask some of my friends to help join me and talk through this. And I'll start with Holly with risk 102.
Yeah, so this is our ongoing just budget monitoring risk. We continue to track, monitor that, work very closely with our state partners. I believe I mentioned last month that we had just submitted our premise estimates for the fall process. And so we continue to answer questions or provide clarification on those items with our state partners. We were also able to, in the last few weeks, to get the final approval of Benefits Cal, get CalFresh parity items. So as you heard earlier, there's been a lot of work on that. So we were very happy and very appreciative of CDSS working closely with us on that process to get that funding squared away. So with that, we will continue to monitor and then we go to our next item on the list.
And that's 203. Peggy, would you like to provide an update on communications?
So good morning, everyone. This is our ongoing risk regarding project communications, make sure that we're enhancing them as we need to ensure our stakeholders are getting the information they need. The biggest update here is in regards to our CalSAWS learning exchange sessions, which I have a topic later in the agenda, so I'm going to reserve the opportunity to provide more information when we get to that agenda item.
All right, thank you, Peggy. 239, just a quick note, that's one of our green risks, but CDSS has started the procurement for the AEM software, so they expect to have results of that this month. Moving on to 246. Lynn, could I have you come on and talk about 246 and 290?
Yeah, morning again. Not a lot that I can offer as far as updates for the risk itself, because they were a couple of agenda items just a few moments ago. Definitely the get CalFresh on the work moving forward, and as Holly mentioned, the funding approval. So we'll continue reporting out on the progress on that. And for ROI, again, waiting on the letters, and then we will start our internal processes to determine courses for automation and timing, and have to determine the funding schedules and how all of that will work out as well.
All right, thank you, Lynn. Sean, I know you already spent some time talking about it, so I'll give you another 30 seconds to hit 296 and 297.
I just heard 10 more minutes.
Let's be swift.
On 296, we continue to have our recurring meetings. We did have 2 counties recently go through the ticket process and invoke our one-on-one support. That was Alameda and Riverside. So that's continuing to be used as we talked about the recommendations coming out of this past winter. We are doing a lot of work on the CF 296. We have a lot of questions, most of them coming from Alameda around policy and report logic. So we are working with CDSS on determining what the answers are there, what the appropriate rules should be. Depending on CDSS's answers and the timing on that, we may be seeing some changes to that report coming in the near future. Going to 297. Again, we're having our recurring meetings. We are spending a lot of time right now working on our GIS solution and working with the counties on that. This is a way to overlay data on some sort of geographical image. So you can think of like by zip code or by area code or just by boundaries you draw yourself. We're working with the counties on what tools do you use, what products, what file formats, and then how can you bring those back to the project and incorporate that in what we have. That is something that's ongoing. It's not imminent for implementation, but it's something very hot to trot on our management side. And with that said, we are starting to work internally on what is our long-term plan for this risk? What are the criteria we have to meet to either downgrade or close this as an ongoing risk? So the group is meeting internally, figuring out those criteria, meeting with project leadership and with the RMs on where we think that would go in the long term.
All right, thank you, Sean. Moving on to 300. This is in regards to the CalSAWS Enterprise Identity and Access Management Services. As I mentioned before, the team had gone through a significant root cause analysis of the instability, has implemented changes to address that, and we've seen stability over the last 2.5 months on those services. So this risk is trending towards the green and potential closure, but we're also focusing on is the ongoing evolution of the services as the vendor does have other versions, newer versions available. So we're building that into our roadmap as well. We continue to have elevated monitoring on the services since it is critical and very disruptive when issues arise. But we're very pleased with where we are right now with the 2.5 months of stable services. We look at 301, the FSET integrated test schedule. That is a low monitoring risk. The schedule does exist. There's another checkpoint in October. And then on 304, production notification process for the Benefits Cal training environment. The procedure documents as well as communication guides have been updated and we are trending this towards closure. So with that, Irene, I can return it back to you for any questions.
All right, any questions from the PSC members? Any questions or comments from the public? All right. Then let's go on to the next item, ICT status updates. And
That's me.
Becky?
Speak up. Oh, can you hear me? Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
So I'm excited to talk about our ICT effort. Just as a reminder, you know, what has already been accomplished to date is we gathered our feedback from our counties, and we've also analyzed that feedback and identified our trends, and we are now preparing recommendations. Next slide, please. So here's our next step. So the things that we've done, we can check off is we've identified our executive sponsor, and I'm going to allow him an opportunity to speak in a little bit. Ryan Bishop from Region 3. We have met with him, and we're going to talk a little bit more on a next slide about our conversations with that first meeting. We've also received feedback from our state partners on the ICT protocol. CWDA is currently completing their review of the ICT protocol, and it will be shared with us, and we will be using that document as part of our work group effort. So we're going to be convening, what's coming next is we are going to be convening a work group. We've identified, you know, the level of staff that we're going to include. So more information is going to be coming out to the counties on, you know, selecting our members for that work group. And then in the training area, we've had some job aids and WBTs and quick guides updates being updated and are in process. And we are targeting ICT to be one of our CalSAWS Learning Exchange sessions, and we are currently targeting that for the month of February, so early next year. We're hoping that the work that our work group does in preparation will lead us to a really good session in the month of February. So we're excited about that. Next slide, please. So like I said, we met with Ryan, our executive sponsor for our ICT committee, our work initiative. We talked to him about, you know, what we want, what we envision as the role for our executive sponsor, collaborating on our vision, communicating the vision, helping engage our stakeholders. He will be our ICT champion, address concerns and conflicts as needed, and, you know, make strategic decisions as needed. So we had our first kickoff meeting with him, the last week, I think it was last week, and it went really well. So I'm going to turn it over to Ryan to see if he has anything that he would like to add on this topic.
Thank you very much. I'll keep it brief. I just wanted to say I'm really excited to be the sponsor for this important project. I know ICTs are a top priority for many regions. And I just appreciate the support I've received so far with the detailed demo, and you guys have been really great responding to all of my many questions. So I'm really looking forward to putting together a wonderful work group and making some great improvements for all 58 counties. Thanks.
So I'll turn it over back to Irene for any questions on this topic before moving on.
Okay. Questions from PSC members? All right, any questions from or comments from the public?
Hi, this is Teresa from DHCS. Just wanted to share we're very excited about the ICT work group and the work that CalSAWS and the counties are doing to really make some improvements. And just want to share that DHCS is absolutely open in any way if there's any policy assistance or anything needed from the department. And just want to give kudos on this work effort.
Great, thank you, Teresa. All right.
This is Jennifer, and just kind of piggybacking on Teresa's comment, if there's anything that the advocates community could do to help bring in the customer side of the experience to help identify any places where they are experiencing some of the deficits in this process, we'd be happy to help with that too.
Okay, thank you, Jen. Any other comments? Okay. Then let's move on to the CalSAWS Learning Exchange update.
Hello again. So this is another exciting activity that we have going on. As you know, in late 2023 and early 2024, we did our M&E roadshows to kind of re-educate and educate our counties on our CalSAWS processes and to be responsive to the questions that the counties had regarding those processes. And now that our M&E foundation has been set, we continue to assess topics that present challenges for our counties. And we have developed what we used to do hot topic sessions. Now we're pivoting to be what we're calling a CalSAWS Learning Exchange, where we will continue to identify those topics that counties are struggling with or want to hear more information about, and provide a session for them to be able to ask questions and hopefully enhance their understanding of the system functionality. Next slide, please. So in August, we held our first CalSAWS Learning Exchange, and this covered JIRA. So as you heard Amy earlier discuss, that was something the counties were really interested in as part of the whole release readiness. And so we were able to pull that together. Kudos to our team, our RM sponsor, Bobby, to pull that together quickly. And we provided a deeper dive, a couple of sessions on August 27th, 28th, and 29th. We had 334 participants that attended, and this population really is the folks from the counties that use JIRA. So it wasn't open to just everybody and anybody. It was targeted for folks that use JIRA. Those 334 participants represented 40 counties. Next slide, please. And here is some feedback that we received from those sessions. Overall, they found the information very helpful. They wanted to give kudos to Lynn for her explanation on something that's very, very technical. And there was some excitement about being able to do some of the queries and searches in JIRA.
And then we did have someone say that they were a little embarrassed that, you know, they felt more confused after the session, but you know, hey. But we'll continue to, you know, provide answers to questions as they come up. Next slide, please. So again, this is just our timeline for our CalSAWS Learning Exchange. Like I said, in August, we did a JIRA deep dive. Our upcoming session for later this month, Lisa, help me out, I can't remember the dates.
Oh, it's the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, I think, of October, thereabouts.
Yeah.
And the topic is?
Disaster CalFresh. So I think it's timely to do a, you know, learning session on Disaster CalFresh. So we're going to be putting that together and more information to come out to the county soon. And then our next session in February, like I said, we're targeting it to be our ICT and duplicate persons exchange, learning exchange. We're tentatively targeting task management to be in April. Potential topic for the month of August is Benefits Cal. So we are continuing to get feedback from the counties on what they would like to know more about, and we will do the assessments from our internal team and schedule those as we can. Next slide. So next steps, you know, I think the biggest next step is if your counties have any topics that they are interested in throwing into the hopper for these exchange session, learning exchange sessions, please, you know, use your RMs during your regional meetings and or management site visits to, you know, bring that information to our attention. We really encourage you to provide some information on what it is you would like to hear about the topic and what the level of priority is to get that learning session set up. So, and then finally, the other thing that we're doing is including feedback from counties. So if there's a county out there that is you know, interested in being our partner in any of the topics that we are presenting on, we welcome that. We like to hear, counties like to hear from other counties on, you know, how things are being done and share best practices or to hear challenges other counties are having. So more to come on this topic, but we're really excited that this is another effort to enhance communication, you know, amongst the counties on the system and our overall CalSAWS project. Back to you, Irene.
Okay, any questions from PSC members?
Hi, good morning. Thank you for sharing the information on the learning exchange sessions. They've been very, very helpful. And we're excited to see that more are scheduled. I just wanted to confirm the October dates. Did I hear correctly that it's going to be on the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th of October?
Yes, that's our current target.
Excellent. And do you have any idea of when any further information will be sent out for those so we can do some advertisement, kind of drum up some interest on our end?
Yeah, the goal is we get the communication out to the counties 3 weeks before. So it'll come out in early October.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Okay, any other questions from PSC? Comments or questions from the public? Okay. Next, we have a procurement update, and I believe, Tom, this is you.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Betty Zippis. I am standing or sitting in for Tom today. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Great. All right, just one quick update on the open M&O procurement. The appeal decision has been extended by 1 week to this time next week. So Thursday, September 26th is the current expected date for the appeal review panel's report and decision. And moving along on the Benefits Cal front, We've made just a couple of updates. We recently, on Tuesday, just this past Tuesday, issued Addendum 4 that may require some action on the part of the 3 bidders. Those potential responses are due next Tuesday. Other than that, this schedule remains intact. And that's it.
Okay, great. Any questions from PSC members? Any questions or comments from the public? All right, thank you, Betty.
Thank you.
The next agenda, let's updates from our state partners.
Good morning, this is Patrice Yang from OTSI. For our update today, we have 2 items. The first, on July 17th, OTSI received the CalSAWS Portal Mobile Contract Change Order number 9. This change order was submitted to CMS on August 20th. We received FNS approval on September 17th, and we are currently awaiting CMS approval. Our second item is for the CalSAWS September 2024 annual IAPDU that was received on September 9th, and the state review for the IAPDU is underway. And that is our update for this month. Thank you.
Good morning, this is Cecilia Rowland with CDSF. We do not have any updates today. Thank you.
Oops, let me take myself off mute. Hi, this is Teresa from DHCS. Just a couple of updates on our front. Just sharing that we did release the policy guidance on the 2-phase implementation for the automatic enrollment for the Qualified Medicare Beneficiary Program, or the QIMBY program. Just as a reminder for folks, DHCS is going to be taking over the oversight of the SSI QIMBY cases starting January 1st. So this walks through both the policy and automated plan for that 2-phased approach. That is needle number 24-17. Also, just wanting to share with you all that DHCS did update our SI screening tool based on some of the awesome implementation pieces that went into effect with CalSAWS. That new SI tool was released in needle 24-16. DHCS also did a corresponding training regarding spousal impoverishment provisions and the new operationalized way that should be conducted within CalSAWS. That training was recorded, so if your counties have any interest in seeing that training and weren't able to attend, please do let me know. And then the last thing, and probably the most important item, is that CMCS information bulletin did go out in regards to timelines and policy related to any outstanding continuous coverage unwinding renewals. So DHCS is noodling through that guidance from CMS and will be issuing out policy guidance soon to let counties know sort of when the drop down date is that we must have all of our unwinding renewals completed. And that's all the updates for DHCS. Thank you so much.
Okay, PSC members, any questions for our state partners? No? Any comments or questions from the public? Okay, so then let's go next to our regional priorities, and I'm just going to play it safe and go in order. Let's go with Region 1.
Hello, everybody. Region 1 priorities. Workload management is a county priority, especially issues around workforce management and appointment scheduling. We are happy to see that progress is being made around workload management that work group is making. The second priority is that a number of correspondence changes are being tracked closely, including CA-268843, which will make all NOAAs available for manual generation
with all available recent fragments applicable to each NOAA. The third priority is the automation around ACL 23-94 and family reunification changes that are being completed under CA-233160. This has also been prioritized by our region. That's it for Region 1.
Thank you. Region 2.
Hi, good morning. For Region 2, no changes in our priorities from the last report. Still looking at number 1 being our priority being report. So gratified to hear from Sean earlier about the update on that. Number 2 also being our ICT, looking at the ICT process. So thank you for the work on that. Thank you, Ryan, for being the sponsor of that group. And last one being our policy, looking at policy changes and when they are put into CalSAWS. So again, no more changes from the previous report. And that's it for Region 2. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Region 3.
Hi again, everyone. This is Ryan Bishop from Region 3. Of course, making the way to the top of our list is ICT. So again, we are very excited to enhance the user and customer experience with ICTs. We also have duplicate persons, reports, of course, workload and manual NOAAs and manual ADBC runs is a hot topic, and mid-period actions and change reasons. So not major differences, but I definitely appreciating all the focus on ICTs right now, and look forward to continue to collaborate with other counties and regions on this effort.
Thank you. Region 4.
Hi, good morning. This is Cecilia for Region 4. There are no changes to the priorities we mentioned last month at the top of the list, ICTs. So happy to hear there's a lot of efforts happening in that area. Also reports. So also happy to hear all the work that is happening in that area. Contact centers is also a priority for Region 4. And I believe that was all of them. Thank you.
Okay. Region 5.
We have 4 priorities, 3 of which remain the same as far as sessions management, logout issues, and the second one is workload management, intake scheduling, and the third, county filter on person search pages. A new priority item is intake informational package, because it is recognized that this is a time saver for staff and will target quality issues, ensuring that staff send informational packets for intake applications. And this targets the Medi-Cal, CalFresh, and CalWorks program. Thank you.
Okay. Region 6, I'll let DCFS go first.
Hi, good morning. This is Olga Vicuña. No changes, no updates for this month. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And then for Region 6, Raleigh County, we continue to focus on our lobby redesign as we had reported out on the last. But I also wanted to, another priority we're looking at right now is we have 5 operations that are moving into a new building that was leased. So this is due to the lease expiration. So we acquired a new building. These 5 operations impact one of our general inquiry call centers. We also have our intake call center. We have a welfare to work operation, and then we have 2 offices, one with a general relief and one which is a CalWorks office. So it's a little over 700 staff that are being moved here. And our general relief office is contains one of the highest caseloads, which is about a little over 200,000. And then with the CalWorks operation. So with this move, we're taking advantage of looking at the lobby design and how we'll be able to manage these different co-located operations. Of course, 2 of them are non-public facing, but just how the check-in process, the lobby management, and also the mail management for this operation. So this is a big one for us, and it's slated to take effect early next year, looking at January. But that's been a huge focus for us right now. And then I also wanted to welcome Sean Emil. Sean Emil will be replacing LaShonda Diggs. LaShonda has been promoted to our Bureau Director, Assistant Director. So Sean is graciously taking over, and she will be also for LA County representing for Region 6. And that's all I have. So any questions from any of the PSC members on any of these updates or anything that was provided? And any last questions from or comments from the public? Nope. All right. This was a quick meeting, 10:20. So I will return back to you sometime. The rest of you, everyone enjoy the rest of your day and have a great weekend. And this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.